Namaste dear children, how are you all? I am Rekha. Welcome to my channel Rekha's Knowledge Hub. Today we will see NCERT Classic Science Chapter 3 Mindful Eating, A Path to a Healthy Body Part 1. There is a wise saying, who is healthy, who is healthy, who is healthy? One who eats food that is wholesome in moderate quantities and appropriate for the season, time and place. So, one who eats food that is wholesome. Wholesome means healthy, nourishing or beneficial. A wholesome meal of vegetables and whole grains. So, one who eats food that is wholesome in moderate quantities. Moderate quantities means in a reasonable or average amount. Neither too much nor too little. That is moderate. Then, appropriate for the season, time and place. The food we must take should be appropriate for the season, time and place. See, for example, in summer, we can have some salads or fruit smoothies. In winter, we can take soups, stews, hot chocolates, etc. Medhu and Mishti read thought of the day on the school notice board every day. Today's thought. Annena Jatani Jivanti makes them curious. Mishti tells Medhu that it is a Sanskrit saying which means food gives life to living beings. So every day Medhu and Mishti read thought of the day on the school notice board. They read a thought, Annena Jathani Jivanti. What was the meaning? It is a Sanskrit saying. It is a Sanskrit saying which means food gives life to living beings. Food gives life to living beings. Let us try to understand the significance of the saying. What do we eat? Let us record. All of us eat food every day. Food is an essential component of our daily life. List the food items you have consumed over the week in table 3.1. Every day we eat food. Food is an essential component of our daily life. See, there is a table. Food items consumed over a week from Monday to Sunday. What food items you have consumed? I will show you a sample menu. See, Monday, idli sambar. Then Tuesday, dosha chutney. Wednesday, in Kerala we have puttu, chana. Then Thursday, idiyappam, egg curry. Then Friday, chapati, vegetable curry. Then Saturday, appam, green peas curry. Then Sunday, upma. What observations can you make about your food from the data collected in table 3.1? Do you eat the same kind of food in every meal or do your choices vary? Yes, our choices will vary. Compare your list with those prepared by your friends. Find similarities and differences in the food consumed by you and your friends. What did you find? Record your findings in your notebook that you can do. You may have noticed that there is a variety in the food eaten by you and your friends. Do you think that such diversity in food exists in all states of our country? Yes, diversity in food exists in all our states. Also, we have to eat a variety of food. Why? Because this is essential for good health, as different foods provide different nutrients that our bodies need. We have to eat fruits, vegetables, grains, then proteins, dairy products, etc. By eating a variety of foods from these groups, we can ensure that we get all the nutrients our bodies need to function properly. Then food in different regions. Let us explore. Find out the types of food traditionally consumed and the crops grown in various states of India. You may refer to books in your library, search the internet, and interact with your friends, family, and neighbors to collect information. So, you have to collect information about different types of food traditionally consumed and the crops grown in various states of India. Traditionally consumed means that a food or a drink that is commonly eaten or drunk in a particular culture or region over a long period of time. It often implies that the item has been part of the local diet for generations. In table 3.2, add more states and fill the collected data. A few examples are already given. Some traditional food items in various states of India. Say, state is given, then locally grown crops, traditional food items eaten, then beverages. First, we will see Punjab. Locally grown crops are maize, wheat, chickpea, pulses. Then traditional food items eaten, makki di roti, sarsan da saag, chole bhature, parantha, halwa, kheer. Then beverages, lassi, chaach or buttermilk, milk, tea. The next state, Karnataka. Locally grown crops, rice, ragi, urad, coconut. Then traditional food items eaten, idli, dosha, sambar, coconut chutney, ragi, mudde, palya, rasam, rice. Then beverages, buttermilk, coffee, tea. In Manipur, locally grown crops are rice, bamboo, soya bean. Then traditional food items eaten, rice, eromba or chutney, then utti, yellow peas and green onion curry. Singju, kangsoy. Then beverages, black tea. Then any other state we can add. Say I added Kerala. Locally grown crops are rice, coconut, black pepper, tapioca. Then traditional food items eaten, rice, puttu, appam, payasam. Payasam is a sweet dish. Then beverages, black tea, buttermilk, tender coconut water, etc. Children, I am not sure about the pronunciation of different food items, so please pardon me. Why do we see diversity in traditional food consumed in various states of our country? The diversity in traditional food consumed across various states of India is primarily due to a combination of geographical, historical, and cultural factors. For example, some geographical factors like climate, soil, then presence or absence of water will affect the traditional food consumed in a particular state. Different regions of India have varying climates and soil conditions. Also, coastal regions often have a seafood-based cuisine, while island regions may focus on grains and vegetables. Then some historical factors, for example, colonial influence, such as British, Portuguese, and Mughals. This colonial influence left its mark on Indian cuisine. Then some trade routes, historical trade routes, they have led to the exchange of ingredients and cooking techniques, resulting in a diverse cuisine. Then cultural factors, religious factors, then local traditions, customs, all will influence our food items. Analyze the data collected by you in table 3.2. Are there food items that are common across many states? Make a list of those food items. You may find that some food items are common in many states while some are eaten only in a particular state. Some items are common in many states. For example, rice, wheat, then fruits like mango, watermelon, then ice cream, kulfi. They are common in many states. But some food items are eaten only in a particular state. For example, rajma chawai, then popular Punjabi dish, then Rogan Josh, a Kashmiri lamb curry. They are eaten only in particular states. What relation do you find between the traditional food items and the locally grown crops? This is important. You must have observed that traditional food of any state is usually based on the crops grown in that state. So, traditional food of any state, it depends upon the crops grown in that particular state. India is an agricultural country with diverse soil and climate types. Various crops are grown in its different regions depending on the soil types and climate conditions. So, our country, India, is an agricultural country. We can see diversity in soil and climate types. So, various crops are grown in different regions depending on the type of soil and type of climate. In various regions of India, the choice of food may vary according to the cultivation of food crops in that particular region, taste preferences, culture, and traditions. What do you mean by cultivation? Cultivation refers to the process of growing crops or plants for food, fiber, or other purposes. So, choice of food also depends on cultivation of food crops in that particular region, then taste preferences, culture, traditions, etc. How have cooking practices changed over time? You have learned that food habits vary across states. Our food choices as well as practices of food preparation may differ from one another. Have our food habits and cooking practices changed over time? So, food habits vary across states. Our food choices and practices of food preparation differ from one another. Then, have our food habits and cooking practices changed over time? Let us interact and find out. Prepare a list of questions for gathering information from elderly people about their food habits and cooking practices. Following are some of the sample questions. So, you ask elderly people about their food habits and cooking practices. You have to ask, what kind of food do you still eat and what is new? Then, what are the changes in cooking practices over time? What has caused these changes? Conduct interviews with some elderly people based on the questions prepared. These things you can do as a group activity. Changes in cooking tools over time. We have some pictures. First one is chula. It's a traditional stove. Nowadays we have modern gas stove. Then silbatta. It is a stone grinder. Nowadays we have electrical grinder. What are your findings from the interviews you conducted? Cooking practices, also called culinary practices, have changed over time. There is a significant difference between traditional and modern culinary practices. What do you mean by culinary practices? Culinary practices refer to the techniques, methods, and traditions involved in preparing and cooking food. That is culinary practices, that is cooking practices. They have changed over time. And there is a significant difference between traditional and modern culinary practices. Earlier, most cooking was done using a chula. Nowadays, most of us cook using a modern gas stove. We have already seen. So, Traditionally, we use chula. Nowadays, we use modern gas stove. Earlier, most grinding was done manually using silbatta. It is a stone grinder. These days, we use an electrical grinder for ease of grinding. Find out what were the other ways of cooking and grinding. Why have these culinary practices changed over time? This is very important. Why the cooking practices changed over time? These changes may be due to factors such as technological development, improved transportation, and better communication. This is very important. So, cooking practices changed over time due to technological development, improved transportation, and better communication. Advances in technology have transformed the way we produce, process, and prepare food. For example, refrigeration has allowed for the preservation of ingredients for longer periods. Also, modern cooking appliances have made it easier to cook a variety of dishes. Then, improved transportation systems have enabled people to access a wider variety of ingredients from different regions and countries. What are the components of food? Medhu and Mishti visit the traditional food festival organized in their school. The theme of the festival is Eat Healthy, Live Healthy. So, the children visited the traditional food festival organized in their school. What was the theme of the festival? Eat Healthy, Live Healthy. The festival features various stalls displaying different kinds of traditional dishes. Dr. Poshita, a nutritional expert, explains to students that health is the ultimate wealth. Who is a nutritional expert? A nutritional expert is a healthcare professional who specializes in providing advice and guidance on nutrition and diet. So, the nutritional expert explains to students that health is the ultimate wealth. That means good health is a foundation for a fulfilling life. Without it, it is very difficult to achieve other goals or enjoy life to the fullest. Let us understand what Dr. Poshida means by this statement. Have you ever missed a meal? How do you feel when you miss a meal? We feel tired and less energetic when we do not eat for some time. Why do you think a marathon runner drinks glucose water during and after a race? So, how do you feel when you miss a meal? You may feel tired and less energetic. A marathon runner drinks glucose water during and after a race. Do you know why? Glucose provides instant energy. Glucose provides instant energy. This is important. Why marathon runner drinks glucose water during and after a race? Because glucose provides instant energy. Glucose is an example of a carbohydrate. So, glucose is an example of a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are energy giving foods. Carbohydrates are one of the primary sources of energy in our diet. So, carbohydrates are energy giving foods. Cereals like wheat, rice, and maize, vegetables like potato and sweet potato, and fruits like banana, pineapple, and mango are some sources of carbohydrates. This is also important. Which are the sources of carbohydrates? Cereals like wheat, rice, and maize. Then vegetables like potato and sweet potato. Then fruits like banana, pineapple, mango. They are some sources of carbohydrates. See in this picture, some sources of carbohydrates are given. See, wheat, then rice, bajra, then maize, then mango, pineapple, banana, sugarcane, potato, sweet potato. Do you know that common sugar is also a type of carbohydrate? Why do you think we prefer to have lettuce as a part of our traditional diet in winters? Why do we prefer lettuce as a part of traditional diet in winters? Because besan or wheat flour, atta and ghee are among the main ingredients of lettuce along with the gund. Gund means edible gum, nuts and seeds. Ghee and various kinds of oils are grouped under another kind of food component which is called fat. So, which are the main ingredients of laddu? Wheat flour or atta or besan. And ghee are the most important ingredients of laddus. Then along with that we use gund, that is edible gum. Then we will use some nuts and seeds. Ghee and other types of oils, they are grouped under another kind of food component which is called fat. So, lettuce rich in ghee and nuts, they provide energy to keep us warm. So, we can prefer lettuce in winters because they provide energy to keep us warm. Sources of fats can be from plants or animals. Nuts such as groundnuts, walnuts, coconuts and almonds, and seeds such as pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds are some sources of fat. Fat is a source of stored energy. So, sources of fats can be from plants or animals. Nuts such as groundnuts, walnuts, coconuts and almonds. Then seeds like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, they are good examples of fat. This fat is a source of stored energy. Fat is a stored form of energy because it is a highly efficient way for the body to store excess calories. When we consume more calories than we burn, our bodies convert those excess calories into fat and store it in adipose tissue. Then we have some sources of fats. We have curds, almonds, cashew nut, then sesame seeds, soya bean, groundnut, walnut, sunflower seeds, pistachios, then butter. All are sources of fats. Carbohydrates and fats provide us energy for performing various activities. Therefore, they are called energy giving foods. So, carbohydrates and fats, they provide us energy for doing various activities and they are called energy giving foods. Identify more food items that are rich sources of carbohydrates and fats. Carbohydrates, they are present in grains, starchy vegetables, then fruits, sugary foods, etc. Then fats, animal fats like butter, cheese, meat, poultry, eggs. Then vegetable oils like olive oil, coconut oil, sunflower oil, then nuts and seeds like almonds, walnuts, cashews, peanuts, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, then avocados. They are rich sources of fats. Polar bears accumulate a lot of fat under their skin. This fat serves as an energy source. It supports them during their months-long winter sleep called hibernation, enabling them to survive without eating. So, polar bears, they store a lot of fat under their skin. This fat serves as an energy source. Do you know what is hibernation? Hibernation is a state of deep sleep that certain animals enter during the winter months to conserve energy. Animals like polar bears, they live in environments where food is scarce during the winter months. By entering hibernation, they can avoid the need to search for food and conserve energy until warmer temperature return. Children, we have already learned about carbohydrates and fats. They are energy giving foods. Now we will study about body building foods. Proteins are also an important part of our food. Milk products and pulses are good sources of proteins. So, proteins are also an important part of our food. Which are the good sources of proteins? Milk products and pulses. Then we have an important question. Why sports persons need proteins in larger quantities? Sports persons need proteins in larger quantities to build their muscles. Then, where do we get proteins? People get proteins from plants as well as animals. We get proteins from both plants and animals. Some excellent plant sources of proteins are pulses, beans, peas, and nuts. They are the most important plant sources of protein. See in this picture, it is given plant sources peas, gram, moong, tur dal, kidney beans, soya beans. They are plant sources of proteins. Then animal sources of protein are milk, paneer, egg, fish and meat. Here it is given in the picture. It is shown chicken, fish, then eggs, paneer, milk. They are the most important animal sources of protein. Protein-rich foods help in growth and repair of our body. This is very important. Why do we need protein-rich foods? Protein-rich foods help in growth and repair of our body. These are therefore called body building foods. So, they are called body building foods. Repair of our body means it refers to the natural process by which our body heals itself from injuries, illness, or wear and tear. So, it helps to restore damaged tissues and cells. The right amount of protein must be included in the diet of growing children for their proper growth and development. So, right amount of protein must be included in the diet of growing children. This will help for their proper growth and development. Have you ever seen mushrooms? They grow mostly in dark and moist places. Edible mushrooms are good sources of protein. Have you seen mushrooms? They grow mostly in dark and moist places. Some mushrooms are poisonous, some are edible. Edible mushrooms are good sources of protein. Why do you think we are advised to include servings of fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based foods in our daily diet? Let us understand the importance of some of other food components by reading the following two cases. So, we need fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based foods in our daily diet. In earlier times, during long voyages, sailors often suffered from bleeding and swollen gums. During a voyage in 1746, Scottish physician James Lind observed that sailors who consumed lemons and oranges recovered from these symptoms. Bleeding and swollen gums are symptoms of a disease called scurvy. So, in earlier times, sailors they often suffered from bleeding and swollen gums. A Scottish physician, James Lind, observed that Sailors who consumed lemons and oranges, they recovered from these symptoms. Bleeding and swollen gums are symptoms of a disease called scurvy. What do you interpret by reading case 1? What cures scurvy? Lemons and oranges help in curing scurvy. Scurvy is caused due to the deficiency of vitamin C. Vitamin C present in citrus fruits like lemons and oranges help in curing this disease. So, what is scurvy? Scurvy is a disease caused due to deficiency of vitamin C. Then, what are the symptoms of scurvy? Bleeding and swollen gums. They are the symptoms of scurvy. Then, lemons and oranges help in curing scurvy. Why? Vitamin C present in citrus fruits like lemons and oranges helps in curing scurvy. So, what is scurvy? What are the symptoms of disease scurvy? Then, how can we cure this disease? All are very important. In the 1960s, Indian scientists found that among the human population in the Himalayan region and the northern plains of India, symptoms of swelling at the front of the neck were prevalent. So, in 1960s, Indian scientists found that human beings in the Himalayan region and the northern plains of India, they showed symptoms of swelling at the front of the neck. As per norms of the government of India, an effort was made to supplement common salt with the iodine for preparing iodized salt. So, to overcome these symptoms, Government of India made an effort to supplement common salt with the iodine for preparing iodized salt. Consumption of iodized salt visibly reduced the above symptoms. These symptoms were due to a deficiency of iodine in the soil of this region, resulting in a lack of iodine in the local food and water supply. Swelling at the front of the neck is a symptom of a disease called a goitre. So, here we are talking about goitre. Goitre is a disease caused by the deficiency of iodine. What is the main symptom of this disease? Swelling at the front of the neck. Swelling at the front of the neck. So, goitre is a disease caused due to deficiency of iodine. The main symptom of this disease is swelling at the front of the neck. So, in order to overcome these symptoms, government made an effort to prepare iodized salt. So, to prepare iodized salt, they supplement common salt with the iodine. Then why people living in Himalayan region and the northern plains of India, they showed symptoms of swelling at the front of the neck? Because of the deficiency of iodine in the soil of this region, resulting in a lack of iodine in the local food and water supply. What do you infer from case 2? You may have learnt about iodized salt through newspapers, advertisements, or by reading about it on a salt packet. What does it mean? Iodized salt is simply common salt mixed with required quantities of salts of iodine. So, what is iodized salt? Iodized salt is simply common salt mixed with the required quantities of salts of iodine. Salt farming is a traditional practice of a tribal community named Agarias. There is a tribal community named Agarias. Their main traditional practice is salt farming. They practice salt farming in the little Ran of Kutch and other parts of Gujarat. So, they practice salt farming in the little Ran of Kutch and other parts of Gujarat. For 8 months, they live in the extreme heat of the desert and work very hard to get salt from seawater. So, they worked very hard for 8 months in the extreme heat of the desert to get salt from seawater. Children, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. We will see in the next video.